Hello, everybody. Welcome. So excited to have you all with me today. Hello, hello. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Lori. Welcome. We have some more people jumping in. Hi, Erin. Hello, Rebecca. How's everybody's day going? All right, thumbs up. Okay, great.
Great now that it's 3, right?
Yes. I think you guys have been sending me some of those good weather vibes. It's like 50 degrees today in Chicago. So I know the last time I met with you all, I asked you to send us some of that warm weather. So thank you to whoever sent that weather our way. Hopefully it's nice there in North Carolina. Great. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I want to make sure that we use absolutely every bit of our time today. So this session is Seesaw routines that you can use tomorrow. And the goal of this training is just to help you integrate some Seesaw routines into your everyday classroom, instructional routines. And also, we are going to talk about how to activate and utilize, make the most of the Seesaw blog. Oh, hi, Janet. Thank you. She says a beautiful day today. Great. That's what I like to hear. This session is being recorded, so I will be sharing the link to the recording along with the slides. And there are a few other resources that we'll be going through that I will also share in the follow-up email. This is an interactive session, so feel free to unmute yourselves and share. I know you've been talking to students all day long, so if you prefer to put your responses in the chat, that is fine as well. But you are always welcome to unmute and just share any thoughts, any comments that you have. I will be going through the slides today, but I will also be jumping into my Seesaw account as well. I will be sharing some goodies with you. So make sure that you are logged into your Seesaw account because you are going to have to save some of these things to your activity library. You're going to get a little bit of time to explore all the resources that I share with you today. So if it's helpful for you to do that on a second device, maybe one device while you watch this, another one while you play around, that's fine. If you don't have two devices and you just want to have two different tabs open, that is fine as well. Whatever works best for you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So if there is anybody that does not know me, my name is Mia. I have had the pleasure of working with you all a few different times, and it is always a pleasure. But I am Mia. For anybody who may be new to this session and hasn't met me before, I am the training and professional development specialist here at Seesaw. So basically what that means is I develop all the professional development resources and I deliver the PD and training to districts and teachers like yourself. I am based in Chicago, as I was mentioning earlier. It is a beautiful 50-degree day and sunny here in Chicago. Before joining Seesaw full-time, I taught kindergarten for 10 years in the Chicago Public School District, and I used Seesaw avidly with my students. So I'm excited to share some different ways that you can integrate Seesaw into any instructional routine throughout your day. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So when technology is integrated effectively into classroom instruction, it doesn't simply replace hands-on learning. We know that our students should still be manipulating and creating and cutting and doing all those hands-on things that really help them learn best. But what it does is it makes new learning experiences possible, and it transforms that teaching and learning that goes on every day in your classroom. So here is our agenda for today. So we are going to begin by discussing some best practices for integrating Seesaw into your various instructional routines. So into whole group practices, independent practice, station rotations, and social emotional learning routines. And then we are going to wrap it up by talking about how you can enable and utilize the Seesaw blog. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to look at first how Seesaw can be integrated into different classroom routines. So classrooms that create Seesaw routines ensure students always have access to meaningful learning experiences. So let's talk more about how Seesaw can do this. So here is an implementation model that you may have seen before. This is the Salmon Model. Thumbs up if you have seen this before. Okay, I see Haley, thank you. Some of us have it, no worries. The Salmon Model, what it is this a framework that categorizes 4 different degrees of classroom technology integration. So each letter stands for something specific. So S, it stands for substitution. So that means that technology is just a substitute for what you're already doing. So as opposed to answering questions on paper, you may use technology or Google Doc to have students answer the questions on a doc. So straight substitution. The A stands for augmentation. So that means the technology acts as a substitution, but with some sort of functional improvement. So maybe you're providing your students with a website link or a video to supplement a lesson or instruction that you've already given them. M stands for modification, which means that the technology that is used allows for a significant task redesign. So what do we mean by that? For example, students might produce a podcast in order to summarize a topic that they've been learning about in class. And then the final stage of this implementation model is redefinition. And so the R in redefinition means that technology allows for the creation of new tasks that were previously inconceivable. So it makes new things possible. So connecting with students across the world to answer questions or solve a problem is one way to reach that redefinition stage. I do want to point out here that our goal is to aim for those higher levels of SAMR, so that modification or redefinition, but we don't always live there. Every task that you do is not going to always be that modification and redefinition. But it's great to have this framework, this model in mind, so you can think about like really impactful ways that you can use Seesaw to transform your instruction. All right, so now that we kind of talked about that Salmon model, let's take a look at how incorporating our Seesaw multimodal tools into your instruction can push you and your students into those higher levels, that M and that R. So with Seesaw, you and your students have access to all of these different multimodal tools. So that photo tool and that video tool can really easily allow you and your students to really creatively capture that day-to-day learning that's going on in the classroom. That microphone and voice tools allows you to scaffold instruction for your students and organized thinking, and it allows students to reflect. The pens and the label tools allows both you and your students to annotate and really just go more into depth with explaining their work. And that multi-page feature just allows you to show even more learning. All of these tools allow for students to learn the same content that you normally teach, but in a much deeper way. Teachers get a much more thorough understanding of what their students know, other than just paper and pencil. And this is specifically powerful for our younger learners when that paper and pencil or that writing may be a challenge for them. All right, so in this section, we're going to focus on 4 teacher-tested ways to integrate Seesaw into your everyday instructional routines. So the first routine that we're going to discuss is that whole group practice. So Seesaw makes it easy for students to record and to document what is already taking place in the classroom. And this is one way that I would use Seesaw all the time with my students. Journals. are a great way for students to capture that ongoing learning. They allow teachers, students, and your families to see that progress over time and get a glimpse into the classroom. So this is an example from my own classroom. So I will use Seesaw all the time as a digital journal for my students. So in this case, I used it as a digital science journal. So just a little bit of context. So what students would do, so this was a unit on plants. And so we talked about plants and seeds and how seeds grow. And students actually planted seeds in different types of soils. And then they used Seesaw, that video tool, to record their predictions about which one they thought would grow, which materials they didn't think would grow. And then we also used the video tool to just document over time. So they would take pictures and they would use the different, the audio feature to record their observations over time about what they noticed. So let's just listen a bit. And this is my real actual classroom. So you will hear a little bit of buzz in the background, which is okay. If you hear me, being stern with a student, don't worry about that. But let's take a listen. Hopefully you all can hear my audio.
I think soil will grow with flowers. I don't think so. If sand is gonna grow,
Let's go. If you haven't taken your picture, keep taking it now.
I think
Go to
in
your
soil
table
is
tree
gonna
line and
grow.
sit down.
I think soil and sand. I don't think soil and sand is gonna grow.
So so you see, that's a real classroom. They're making their predictions. They're saying which ones they think you will grow. You heard that buzz in the background, which is normal. We need to just normalize expecting that little buzz, but some tips, you can have students cycle through. Maybe there is a specific time of the day. You can have students cycle through that station that you have your science experiments set up in small groups to kind of reduce some of that buzz or that background noise there. But that is one way that you can easily do that. And that was done by just having students use the record feature within Seesaw.
I think.
Okay, so here is another example from my classroom. So every year as a kindergarten teacher, I would have, we would hatch baby chicks in our classroom. And so students would observe the eggs in the incubator for 21 days. And then after they hatched, then they would record their observations. They took a picture of the chicks and record their observations in Seesaw. So you can notice here that in addition to the picture, I had my students use the label tool to write simple sentences about what you noticed. This can easily be differentiated. They can take a picture and they can just use the microphone to explain what they noticed if your students aren't as proficient at reading or writing using that audio tool, or they can just take a brief video and kind of narrate over that video about what they noticed. But not only is this a powerful learning experience for the students, but that homeschool connection becomes even stronger. This is posted to your classroom journals. When families are connected, they can actually see what's going on in the classroom. They can spark those conversations with their students about what they are actually learning. All right, so Rebecca, yes, this will be recorded and I will share it. So please feel free to pass the link along to anybody who's not able to join today so they can still participate. All right. So here is an example where a student had multiple opportunities to label parts of circular objects in the classroom. So by providing multiple attempts with Seesaw, teachers really get to see that student thought process, and they can monitor how students progress throughout a particular instructional unit. So you can see students was given this activity 3 times And the teacher could easily intervene and use this to determine who needs that small group instruction, how they need to adjust their instruction, and that small group or that individual instruction based on how that particular student is mastering that skill. So yes, that is another way. All right, let's jump into routine number 2. So we just talked about whole group. Any questions before we go on to routine number 2 about integrating Seesaw into your whole class routine, or any, ideas, anything that you've done? Maybe you are already doing some of the things that you saw here. Maybe you have some interesting ways to use Seesaw in whole group.
Not a way to use it, but be aware with the iPads that we use, their microphone is on the back facing towards the class making the noise. Turn the iPad over for them to record, and it cuts down a lot on that background noise.
Great tip. Yes. Another thing that I would do also is I would make recording spots, even though we would do whole group activities. So maybe I'll have half the classroom doing one thing and half the classroom doing the other. They would have spots spread out in the room. That spot can be on the rug. It can be, my cubbies were inside my classroom, like in your cubby, like in the library area. So that's another way. But thank you so much, Alicia, I think that was, for sharing that. All right, so let's talk about that independent practice. So Seesaw can also be used to provide opportunities for students to practice those grade level skills independently. So after you teach a concept or a skill, as teachers, we have to give our students time to practice. What you can do is you can assign a Seesaw activity that reinforces that particular skill. And then as students complete that activity, you can circulate and you can support students one-on-one or either in small group. The great thing about Seesaw is that you can use all those multimodal tools within the Canvas to add images, labels, shapes, and really use those things to support students to practice that specific skill. So you see in this example, students watch a video, and in the video, the teacher is modeling for students, and I don't think I have a clip of that, but I'll just describe it. The teacher is modeling for students how to play this game that they're going to play on their own. So although you may have taught the game to your students' whole group, you may have showed them how to play. When they go off to do it on their own, right? There's always somebody who's like, Miss Rivas, I don't remember what to do. So you can actually record that video within the Canvas that reminds students of what they need to do. You can include those step-by-step directions typed out like you see here. And you can use those other tools to just add anything additional to that specific to support that student when they're working independently. So another way to use Seesaw in those independent practices is to have students take a picture of their foundations board and then use the microphone to record themselves reading, and also use the annotations to annotate. Students can use a pointer to track their reading or point as they explain. So I'm just going to play a quick clip of this so you can see how easily students can capture this learning.
A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, F, G, G, H, I, E, J, K, L, O, N, O, R.
So you can easily go back and you can view each student's video after they submit it, and it can provide a quick and easy assessment for you. This is a great way to assess students and still have students doing other things without really having to pull them, every student individually.
The nice thing too about that specific routine is the teacher did not have to prep anything. They just click the big green plus and go from there.
Yeah. Great. I mean, we love that, right? No prep. Thank you. So we have also created ready to assign check for understanding activities that you can use in any subject. You'll notice that these activities are generic. They can be used across any subject area or within any routine. So they include exit tickets, choice boards, reflection routines. But I will be dropping in the chat a link to this one pager so that you can explore those different check for understanding activities. And this one pager also just says how to integrate those into your classroom. They're really simple and easy, but we just want to share those resources with you as well. So I'll drop those in the chat when we have that explore time, so you'll have the opportunity to save those and to explore those on your own. All right. Routine number 3, station rotations. So when you use Seesaw for your stations, you can get a glimpse into every student's learning process, even when you aren't meeting with them. This is great for getting a glimpse and assessing students while they're working in those centers. It's great for that accountability piece. I would add Seesaw to every single center station that I did. So even if students are doing hands-on, if they're building words in a making word center, I would have them use Seesaw, that green add button, to take a picture and then record themselves reading the word that they built. So great way for you to assess without actually being there when you're working with your small groups, and a great way to add that accountability piece for students. And that really motivates them to do their best when they're working in those station rotations. So you can start by giving, your students a mini lesson or teaching a concept or skill. And then as you plan your rotations for students to rotate through, you can designate, you can either, like I said, you can add the iPads to the center so that students can use that green add button to take a picture or record, or you can designate one specific station or rotation, station, yes, as a Seesaw station rotation. So just some tips for that. All right, so activities that work best for stations really prompt students to capture those hands-on learning experiences. So here is one example of students using building a math number sentence here with actual number cards. And so something like this, these like different cards might get lost when students finish it, but using that camera tool is a simple and easy way for students to just capture how they use those numbers to build a number sentence and to come up with that answer. Activities can also prompt students to capture their thinking. So students can use that video tool or even that microphone tool to record their voice, giving you valuable insight into every student's learning. Any questions about station rotations, using Seesaw for station rotations, or any ideas or thoughts?
If it is like I'm thinking of like a building word station where they've got little tiles and different things. I would want them to take a picture of each word they build, so they could put how many pictures on one page? Is it 10? Is there a number to 10?
You actually
5? I don't know.
More, I think 10. But you could have multiple pages too. What you could also do is you can make a Seesaw activity. It's like, take a picture, build your word, take a picture, add it here. But you don't have to either. The easier thing is also to just let them use that green add button. Yes. Maybe they're in a reading station and they're reading, just taking a picture of a page in their book, similar to what students did for that foundations chart. taking a picture of that page, reading it within Seesaw, and doing that maybe a couple of times to practice fluency or another skill that you're focused on. All right. Routine 4 is social emotional learning. Seesaw really makes it easy to integrate those social emotional learning routines. You can leverage different times of your day to do these. You can leverage that transition times, like maybe the beginning or the end of your day, before and after lunch, or between different subjects to reinforce all of those SEL skills. You can simply assign a Seesaw activities for students to complete, also to complete during your designated SEL time as well. So an easy way to start is with a daily or a weekly check-in. So in my classroom, I would have a physical check-in. I had it before Seesaw. I had a physical check-in where students would clip their name in, but you can also do this digitally as well. Students can practice identifying and naming their emotions and explaining why they felt that way, so that you can follow up with students that need a little bit more support. So the benefit to this is, like, I would have students check in right on the physical chart in my classroom, but I would have to go and look and see, okay, so I see, a couple of my students, put theirs on SAD. So now I have to, pull them and kind of figure out why. But this way you already have that why. And so that allows you to more quickly kind of meet with that student and provide that student that extra support. And also, for students that, may be kind of shut down during that time, it may be easier for them to explain in Seesaw as well.
I just want to take a minute and say I am loving listening to this. This is Rebecca, but my next meeting's getting ready to start, so I can't wait to watch your recording and share this with my kindergarten, first and second grade teachers and some of my specialists, because I can see that they could use this in their classrooms as well. Thank you so much for sharing, and I look forward to, are you doing the one tonight too?
No, I am not. I believe I have another admin session tonight.
That's the admin session.
Yes, that will be me.
I will see you tonight then.
Oh,
have a good one, dear.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that's great. Yes, I have a session tonight on the admin dashboard. So if any administrators would like to join me, it is this evening, 6 to 6:30, I believe you all, so which will be 7 your time to 7:30. You can check out our Seesaw training page to register for that. I'll drop the training page in the chat. All right. So another way that you can use Seesaw to support that SEL instruction is by providing your students with a daily morning message that gives them a little snippet of what they're going to learn for the day. You can do this in Seesaw by recording a video message. When students are given the opportunity then you can have them actually create their own morning message after watching yours. When students are given the opportunity to create their own message or response, that really activates their thinking, and all of our students are given an opportunity to express their thoughts and their feelings. And as a teacher, I know sometimes it can be hard during that morning meeting time not to have every single student share, or to have every single student share, because we know that there's so much that we have to fit in during the day. But this is a great way to have every single voice in your classroom be heard. You can also find activities in our activity library, or you can create activities that reinforce specific SEL techniques or skills that you want your students to focus on. Maybe it's mindfulness, maybe it's goal setting or growth mindset, but you can use Seesaw to reinforce those specific skills. All right. So I am going to drop a couple of things in the chat for you. So let's see. I do have a link here to our check for understanding activities. So you can go ahead and save those activities to your My Library. Take a look throughout those different activities and see how you might integrate them into your classroom. And then I also, I have another link for you. And we're going to spend a couple minutes exploring. Yes, we do have some activities that we've created that you can use for some of those different periods, those different instructional routines throughout your day. Let's see, where is that link now? I had it here. Okay. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes to explore those check for understanding activities, and I will grab that other link for you. So you're going to just have 5 minutes to take a look at those activities, to save them to your My Library tab. You can modify them, and you can even practice assigning them to your class. Any questions? All right, let's go for it. Jump in. I'm here if you have questions. I'm going to go ahead and start that timer. Oh, that was the right. Sorry, I have to grab the check for understanding. So what I dropped into the chat was a 1-pager with different activities linked. Yep. Yes, so those contain different activities that you can integrate throughout those various routines. Now let me grab that check for understanding, a link for you as well. All right, there is our timer. Hopefully you got a chance to take a look at some of those activities and save them, and you saw some things that you can take away and use in your own classroom. I would love to just take a brief minute before we move on, just to hear like which activities or which routine do you plan on incorporating Seesaw into? What are you excited about trying first? Maybe it's some of those check for understanding activities. Maybe you'll have an idea for integrating Seesaw into your station rotations. So if you can go ahead and share out, just unmute yourself or drop your ideas in the chat quickly.
I would like to try the question of the day and the morning meeting.
Yes.
Just to give the, the message so they can see it. Because normally when they get here, some kids don't eat breakfast. So they normally take their iPads in the morning.
Great. That is a great idea. Anybody else? Any other ideas or ways that you want to jump into integrating the Seesaw into your routines? Thank you for sharing too. Well, take a look. When you have more time, just explore those more. If you have any questions, jump in and ask. Yeah, maybe you're like me. Sometimes I have to kind of process and kind of take a little bit of time to think, but yeah, take a look and explore those when you have more time and think more about how you can incorporate that. All right. So now we're going to talk about providing feedback with Seesaw. Feedback on student work provides students with that support and an authentic audience for their work as well. So we're going to talk about how you can use Seesaw to comment on student work or to provide a like on a post, and how you can leave feedback for students and how students view that feedback within Seesaw. This is a feature that has been a part of Seesaw for a while, the ability to leave comments for students. So teachers can provide feedback on student work by commenting or liking. So you noticed here that this teacher has provided a typed comment on this student's All About Me work. But another thing that you can do is you can provide those typed comments, but you can also provide audio comments as well. And this is really great for those emergent readers or those English language learners. So you'll notice that you have the option to either type in a comment, or you can click the little microphone and you have the ability to record a voice comment as well. So after you leave either that typed or that voice comment for that student on whatever post that you are reviewing, then all you have to do is tap the three dots and you send that post back to your students as a draft. So students will see that post under their activities, in the activities tab where that light bulb is, and all they have to do is click finish response if that is an activity that you sent back. If it was just a regular post that you sent back as a draft, then in their journal they'll see that post and it'll have edit, so they can either click finish response on an activity or edit on a post. And when they do that, what's going to happen is that post is going to open up, that activity is going to open up, and those comments are going to open up directly inside of that Seesaw activity, which is a new feature. Before, when we provided comments, those comments appeared as notifications in students' inbox. Students still get a notification, but now when they open up that specific activity or that post, those comments are right there, allowing students to really be able to make adjustments to their work and to view your comments while they're doing that. Students can easily hide those comments by clicking on that little comment icon in the upper right-hand corner of that post or that activity. So we kind of talked about this already. So we're going to go ahead and just keep moving to our next one. Any questions before we go into our Seesaw blog? All right, let's go ahead. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in. All right, so now we're going to talk about our Seesaw blog. Research shows that when students have that authentic audience, they really do put forth more of an effort and they really produce their best work. Blogs support collaboration with that authentic audience. So I'm actually going to we have a little bit of time. So I'm actually going to go through and then I'm going to jump in and demo for you actually how to set up your Seesaw blog and how you can engage or post work to the blogs. Okay, so to set up your blog, what you're going to do is from your class journal, you're going to hit that wrench icon that you see located in the upper right-hand corner. And what that's going to do is that is going to take you to all of your class settings. So you're going to scroll down until you find the section that says class blog. And then you're just going to toggle that little button to enable your class blog. When you do that, it's going to ask you to set your blog to public, which you're going to have to click set up public blog. No worries. We'll talk a little bit about, I know the word public is like, oh my goodness, a public blog, but there are some privacy features in place for that. When you do set up your blog, you are going to be asked to choose a name and a URL. So that can correspond with the name of your Seesaw class. Or whatever you want that to be. Now, although that blog is set to public on the web, you can password protect it so that anyone who visits that blog needs to use that password. Just for student privacy purposes, only first names are shown on the blog. So even if your classes were generated with your students' first and last name, only the first name will appear on the public blog, adding that layer of security as well. So once you do go into your settings and you activate your class blog, you'll notice that there'll be a little blog icon that appears there. And actually it's next to the progress tab. This is an old screenshot, so I apologize for that. So let's jump in and I'm going to show you exactly, we're going to go back through those steps and feel free if you are logged in to follow along with me. So here I am in my Seesaw journal. Here's that wrench icon that I was talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to where it says class blog. So you would just toggle that on and it's going to ask you to set up a public blog. You're going to go ahead and click that blue button and then you can select a name. So this is associated with Mr. Anderson's class. It's another person on my team. So you can set that blog name up, that URL up, whatever you want. This is taken. So let's see. Let me change this. This is Mr. Blog. Seesaw. Perfect. So there is the blog. I'm going to just click that green arrow. And then it just lets you know that students only their first names and profile icons will show on their post. And so you want to make sure that you can start off without these enabled, but I have the comments enabled so that people can comment on student work and that other students or families can comment. And then you can also decide here whether or not you want to password protect that, which I'm going to just leave off. And it's that easy. Your blog has been set up. So now if I hit that green check mark, there is that blog icon that I talked about. So this is how you can easily navigate from the journal to the actual blog. So you can see here, there's nothing added yet, but let's talk about how you can post work to that class blog. Let's see. Okay. All right. So you can add posts to your class blog. You'll notice now that you have enabled your blog that underneath every post in your journal, there's a little globe icon. So you would just tap on that icon in order to add that particular post to the class blog. So when you tap on that globe icon, it is going to confirm that you want to publish that specific post to the blog. So you can click publish to the blog. And just so you know that posts that are published to the blog will have a little tag underneath that says published to the blog. And all posts that are published to the blog by your students must be approved by you. So no worries, you do need to approve everything that students post. And also anything that is posted to the blog, it remains in your journal. So it doesn't move from your journal to your blog. It just lives in both places after you publish it to the blog. So in order to view those posts that you post to your blog, all you have to do is click. There are a couple ways you can do this. So the first way is to click on that blog icon there, that blog tab. That'll click you over to the blog and all the posts that have been added there. And when you're there, you'll notice that, again, only students' first names show up. You can also visit that blog URL. So you can post the URL into a browser and visit. This is how families will view the blog. So in their family, the Seesaw Family app, they don't have the option to toggle back and forth. Families must visit the blog through the URL. So here, if I go back over to that class here and I click on journal, you'll notice that there's that little icon underneath. I can choose to click on that and I can publish that to the blog. And then once I go over here, then I can see that that item is published as well. So this is a great way to maybe have families provide feedback on students. You can post student work here, maybe exemplars that you want your students to take a look at and discuss in the comments. That's another great way to use the blog as well. So anybody visiting the blog can comment on a post. However, all users, so anybody that goes in and comments, must be signed into their Seesaw account just to add a layer of privacy there. And all of those comments you have to approve. So they must leave their first name. They must confirm that they're not a robot, and you must approve those comments that they post. Any questions about the blog? Really simple to activate and to use. Blogs are great for not only, you can share work within your classroom that you want your students to kind of discuss and provide feedback on. Connecting with other classrooms are absolutely great for you to really extend that learning beyond the walls of your, the four walls of your classroom. You might want to begin with just another class within your school until you get kind of more comfortable using the blog, and then you can expand from there. Haley and I were concerned that we were going to run out of time for this session, but we actually cover everything that we meant to cover today. So we talked about how you can set up those Seesaw routines and integrate Seesaw into those different instructional settings, whole group, independent practice, station rotation, social emotional learning. We talked about the blog and utilizing the Seesaw blog with your students. I would love to take any questions that you have at this time, any comments, any ideas that you have for incorporating Seesaw into your various routines.
It's kind of a final plug, but I know that the Big Green Plus is huge. So I keep bouncing back to thinking about not having to create things, right? So if you have a foundations routine, the kids know they're going to snap a picture and record. You have a math routine where the kids know they're going to snap a picture and then explain their thinking. And really thinking about, when we're using the Seesaw, just as Mia mentioned at the beginning, is really taking it up that Salmon Model. Are we doing something that's going to redefine and enhance what our kids are doing? And as a mom who has a kindergartner myself, getting to hear the language that the teacher's using with the kid, thinking through a problem or how they're sounding out a word is huge. So just my little two second plug.
Yes. Thank you for adding. Like that is, like Haley said, the simplest and the easiest. And that was honestly, that was that was how I mostly used Seesaw in my classroom. Like I did not spend a whole bunch of time creating a bunch of different activities because as teachers, we already know we have a bunch of things on our plates. Even like in math, for example, if students are making models with manipulatives, they're doing hands-on, I might have one person take their iPad, hit that green add button and record the other one while they're counting or while they're building that manipulative with the math, just to kind of capture that and really have students thinking to reflect about how they're explaining as well. In writing, I would have students use their iPads all the time. So I would do my writing workshop. I would do my mini lesson. Then I would have my students we would do guided or either they have their independent portion of the writing section, but I would use it in a couple of ways. I know for kindergartners, right, it's really that writing process can be difficult because they're thinking about not only how to write, they're just learning, right, like how to write, form letters, how to form sentences. They have to remember the sentence that they're going to write. So I might go around and quickly support the students that need it with their sentence, synthesizing that into one phrase. Hey, use Seesaw to record your sentence that you're going to write about and then play it back. That way, I don't have to keep running around to everybody. Or after you write, take a picture of your writing and record yourself reading it in Seesaw, because we know our emergent readers and writers, sometimes we have that developmental spelling. We have to kind of figure out what their sentence is saying. Those are just quick and simple and easy ways to just layer Seesaw on top of what you're already doing, but you're adding that level of reflection to it.
And
I have a question, one for you and one for Haley.
Okay.
One for you is, I just noticed that when I created my blog, there's a QR code, that comes up. So can I use that QR code just for the students to take it with the iPad and it will take them to the blog straight?
So your students don't have to use the QR code. They should have a tab in their journal, and all they have to do is click from the journal tab to here to get to the blog. I'm wondering if the QR code that you saw is just to sign into Seesaw. Where did you find that code at?
Well, when I created the blog, it said, let me see, because I had it over here.
Let me see if I can find a class that doesn't have one.
Where did I get it? Because I was just like trying to find different things, because I put like the header and stuff, and I don't know what I clicked, and it just sent me a QR code. But that's what I was wondering, if it would be easier, for the kids just to take that QR code with their iPad and just take it straight to the blog.
They will actually, and I know Mia's probably about to say what I'm saying. I'm not sure about the QR code, but just like that tab is showing there, they can just open up Seesaw and click blog.
Yep.
that would even, simplify things even more possibly.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is like when they go to Seesaw, they have to do all this whole process, like going to the NC and whatever, and then take the screen, from the card and everything. So that's my question. I don't know if you know the answer. If they just take the QR code, straight from the, the picture for the QR code, it will take them straight there.
I would be happy to swing by and look at that. I'm not sure which QR code. Now there's the option to share, right? So if you're sharing a post, you could have a QR code, or if you share a blog post, do you get the QR code too?
I think it's the QR code for the blog.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but I can look into that. Like if you share a specific post on your timeline, you can get the QR code there. Also, if you go to add students, it'll also give you the option to get a QR code. I think this is set up with email addresses, which is why. So did it look like this? But
No,
with the QR code?
no, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I just clicked, something, and then it just popped up, the QR code.
I wonder if it's the QR code that lives in your Chrome browser at the top.
Oh, I don't know if you can come, to my room.
Yeah. I'll swing by and we'll figure it
I
out.
took a screenshot of it.
Okay.
Perfect.
And also, Haley, do you know if we can download the app? I used to have the app to read QR codes in their iPads. And I don't just notice that it's not in the, what is it called? The new thing? Not
the catalog. So the cool thing about our iPads now, when you go to the camera, all you have to do is hover your camera over the QR code and it will pop up the link. So they don't have to have a separate app anymore.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's perfect.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you. Any other questions?
And then, remember your BLCs. So we're happy to come out and help and do some of these routines with you and your students there, just to be an extra person in the classroom. It's my favorite thing to get to do. So sign us up.
I wish I could come out and visit you all.
Come on down.
Yes.
And you come every day, Haley?
Every day. I wish.
Well, while you're thinking about your final questions, I'm going to share a couple of additional things. So I talked about this earlier briefly, but this is our training site, and I'm just going to jump over here really quickly. So our Seesaw training sites list all of our upcoming live webinars that we're having. So we have a monthly Q&A every month that is free, the second Wednesday of every month, where we have one of our amazing Seesaw certified educators answering your questions live. So you can come with any question that you have. He'll answer your questions right there. And that is the second Wednesday of every month. You can always register for that. We also have one, so that one is dedicated for teachers. We also have one dedicated for admin as well. So to come and ask any questions, and we have an admin from an actual district, as well as a Seesaw admin support person as well. We also offer a number of free webinars. So we have a few different webinars coming up as a part of our Learn with the Expert series, where we partner with an expert in a specific content area or a field, and they really just share strategies that you can easily implement in your classroom. And in most of these sessions, we do share some free Seesaw resources to support the strategies that they are discussing. So we have two coming up this month: Summer Learning with Broderick Clark, and he's going to talk about how you can really enhance your summer learning program to really focus on curiosity and student interest. So that one's coming up. And then we also have a mindfulness one that I'm really excited about with Mind Yeti, and it's all about creating that calm, kind, and focused classroom. So just definitely check this out. On here, we also have some mini on-demand videos quick videos under 10 minutes that cover different topics within Seesaw. All the videos that you'll find here in blue are our getting started videos, and all the videos that you'll find in purple go a little bit deeper. And then any of the webinars that we've had also will be on this site at the very bottom. So we just hosted a webinar last week with Dr. Joe Bowler on being limitless in the math classroom, embracing struggle. It was really awesome. So that video recording is there as well. So definitely check out that site. I dropped the link to that in the chat. So after you have mastered the basics, we are inviting all of you to join our Pioneer program. You just have to take a quick 1-hour course, and you will be, after you do that, you will be a part of our Seesaw Pioneer educator community. And in that you will be put into a Facebook group with other pioneers where you can share ideas, brainstorm about how you can use Seesaw in your classroom. So definitely want you to take advantage of that. I'm going to drop the link to where you can apply in the chat there. Oh, okay. They're almost all of them are pioneers. So that's perfect. If anybody is not, definitely check that out. And as a reminder, I will be sharing the recording in an email along with the deck, a certificate of completion, and all the resources that we discussed today. So thank you for joining me. If you have any more questions, I will stick around for a few minutes. If not, I'll give you a few minutes back of your time. Haley, did you have anything final you wanted to share?
I don't think so.
Just to let you know, I took the iPad and did that QR code, and it took me straight to the blog.
Really? I wonder.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. So it's so much easier for the kids.
I wonder if it's based on your sign-in mode. Probably if you get that. I have to look into that though.
Yes.
Because that account that I was practicing on had email sign-in, so I'm not sure. Okay, great. Hey, I'm glad you were able to figure it out.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mia.
You get an extra 12 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Janet. Look for those resources and I'll copy you to Haley and Beth as well.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Enjoy this beautiful day.